Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Rimshots with John. I am here with the one, the only Mark Tornillo from Accept. How are you doing, sir?
I am well, Sean. How are you making out?
Good. Where are you joining us from?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. You were a Jersey boy through and through, right?
Yeah, buddy.
So John, your PR fella sent me that album over a week and a half ago, and the first thing I said to him was, "That's got to be Andy Sneap. It's just got his production written all over it." Talk a little bit about the process. You guys are literally scattered all over the world. So, what was the process of putting Humanoid together?
Kind of pretty much the same as was for Too Mean to Die. I mean, the band is pretty much based in Nashville. A lot of the guys live there. Wolf has a place there. That's really like a band house, and there's a studio in the house. So Martin, Christopher, and Phil all live in Nashville as well. Uwe still lives in Germany. I'm up here. So we kind of use Nashville as the home base. But as far as writing, I mean, we'll write on our own, write at home, send files back and forth till we get something we think is working properly. And when we have enough songs, then we get Andy involved, and we all get together and put it together.
I mean, his production, I've heard a number of things that he's done. He's a slick producer. What's his input in terms of? Well, yeah, and what's his input in terms of how you work? Because I know with Judas Priest, he's very, very predominant in there. Is he guys just sits there and twirls the knobs, or is he giving you guys feedback on a regular basis? How does that work with Andy?
No, he's been hands on like from day one since Blood of the Nations. He's a well of knowledge and ideas. So you like I've said that before as well. You'd be foolish not to listen to him. He's full of constructive criticism and full of ways to make things better. So he's a very hands-on producer, not just an engineer.
And a fantastic player in his own right. I saw him in Halifax with Queensryche. I think it was about a year and a half ago, and he plays the parts the way they're supposed to be played, but the guy can play.
Yeah, I've seen him twice with Priest. It's quite amazing.
So I listened to this album front to back, and there's a little bit of everything. You got some metal components. You've got some. I don't want to say prog, but there's some progressive moments in there. And then I'm sitting there listening, and Straight Up Jack comes on, and I'm like, that could be on an AC/DC record. I mean, it's like everything. I don't know if you've got that feedback before, but you've got a little bit of everything on this record.
Yeah, I like to mix it up. I think we all do. But it flows nicely. I think as diverse as some of the songs are, they still work well together.
So, you have a catalog with the band. They've got a back catalog. So when you guys are going to go out and tour this now, how hard is it to put together, I guess, a set list that, everybody's going to like? I mean, I know you've probably been asked that before, and it's probably difficult, but what's your process with that?
Well, with every new record, it becomes more difficult, I mean, it's as far as the back catalog, the classic stuff, there's, there are songs that you have to play, that you always have to play. You're not going to get out of the building without playing Balls or Shark or Metal Heart, or Restless. So pretty much resigned to that. But we try to mix it up with those and get some obscure ones in as well. So we're literally about 50-50 with the old material and my material. But with every new one that we put out, it just becomes more difficult of what to play and what not to play. So we will most likely do at least 3 or 4 songs off the new album live, possibly 5, depending on if it's a headline show or not. Festivals. Right on. So, festivals, sets are obviously a little shorter.
And in terms of your voice, I mean, you've got that distinctive growl, but I was saying to somebody here before we went on that it's distinctive. It could possibly also lend itself to not being kind to you if you're not working and making sure you're being kind to it. Does it get harder every year to keep up that growl, or do you have to keep working at it, or is it just part of what you do now?
It's pretty much just part of what I do. I mean, I've sang that way since, early 80s. So it's kind of like second nature, but you can beat it up and kill it pretty easily if you're not careful. So just got to, loosen up, warm up a little bit before you don't come out of the gate, all guns blazing, or you're going to get one song and you're done.
Well, and I would ask you, when you're putting the set together, because you mentioned there's certain songs that are must do's and you have to do, but are you telling the guys like, you know what, I need this one here, I need that one there, or are you just kind of going for it?
Once in a while. I mean, if it's really going to be something that's going to give me a problem early on, I'll say something about it. But like the last tour, the last couple of years we've opened with Zombie Apocalypse, and that's a motherfucker out of the gate. But like I said, just gotta warm up properly and try not to do it. Gotta hold back a little bit too. Sometimes you gotta try and save a little bit. So.
Well, and do you pace yourself? Like, I mean, it's funny because I play too. Like, I play in a band, and like, it's always that show is, you don't look at it as another show, but to you it kind of is. It's one in a many. But for people that are watching you, that's like, it could be a highlight of their life or a highlight of the year. So, do you are you mindful of that when you're performing? I mean, I know it's tough when you're not feeling well that you got to go out there and do it, but is that your mindset when you're performing?
Oh, always. You're always playing off of the fans, and you hope that it's the highlight of their day or their year. That's a given. I pray that that's what it is for them. So yeah, I'm always trying to do as the best that I can possibly do, and hit the notes and sing all the songs properly. I try never to lay back or cheat, but I mean, we don't tune down either. We still do everything 440A. So
that's crazy.
It is crazy. People think I'm nuts, but it is what it is. It sounds right that way. I don't, when you start tuning down, it doesn't sound like the song anymore. It sounds like something else. So.
Okay, so you're leading me to a spot here that seems to be a flavor of the month question, but every so often on like a blabbermouth or whatever, the thing before you're hearing about backing tracks, people were talking about backing tracks. It seemed like every second interview, blah blah blah, thinks backing tracks are dumb. Lately, they're talking about tuning down for singers. So you're hearing certain people that are saying, I have to tune down now. And you just said, the song sounds right when it's in 440A, right? But what are your feelings on that? Do you feel like there's going to be a point where, I might just have to bring it down a bit because these songs are getting harder and harder to do every year?
I hope not. I really don't want to. I know Wolf doesn't want to.
Right.
So, well, it's like anything else. Once you give in, then you're going down a slippery slope. I'd rather just fight with it and stay where we are, I think, and try and get it done. Then if it's that bad, then you don't do it anymore. I don't know, man. That's a good question, though.
Well, and I only ask it because
I've played in cover bands where they've tuned to E flat, and I don't like the way it sounds.
Well, the only reason I ask it is because it just seems like the last year and a bit, maybe the last 2 years, every other thing that comes up is, what's your stance on backing tracks? I didn't even ask you that. I mean, it's almost like a cheesy flavor of the month question, but the one lately is the tuning down, and it tends to be directed a little bit more to people that are doing very, very high material, and year after year it gets a little bit harder. So the only reason I asked you that is simply because it just seems like it's such a stock question. I don't know if you get it in another interview time to time or.
No, that's the first I've been talking about this actually. But there are a lot of bands that do tune down. There are a lot of bands that run tracks as well. I mean, a lot of tracks, some of them. We don't run any tracks. We do everything, totally live now. The only thing that's on a computer. There is a computer, and it's only for a click track, and that's to run the lights. So
I'm glad
because the lights are programmed, you know, you obviously have an LD. He still has to focus and be conscious of what's going on, but the lighting is programmed. So that's the only reason for the click track.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm a drummer. I use a click track live. It's because I like consistent tempos and whatever. But a lot of people don't realize that the production is so stemmed off click tracks and so stemmed off that type of thing that they overlook it. So, I'm glad you're bringing that up. I'm glad you're bringing it up for that reason. Do you guys ever get accused? Oh, they're using tracks. The performance is too good. They have to be using tracks. Do you ever get that feedback?
Yeah, a couple of times, especially about the vocals. But now it's like everybody in the band sings. We got a 6-piece band, and everybody sings, and most of them sing really well. So I mean, there's not much we can't do, and make it sound like the record.
Well, isn't it nice too when you know that you're going to get up on stage and you're going to have an incredible band that all sings really well and plays really well. This album, I mean, the playing sounds so proficient, and not knowing how it was recorded. One of the things I think I hear or have heard in the past few years, it almost sounds too tight. It almost sounds too robotic, and I don't get that from this album. I can hear the human element, so it sounds to me like it's not overproduced in terms of some of the Pro Tools and stuff that goes on. There's a very human element in it.
Yeah, I agree. And it will be that way live as well, and getting back to what you were just saying about, getting on stage and knowing, you've got this band, it just gives you an even a boost of confidence. There's nothing worse than getting on stage and worrying about what the other guys are going to do, because you can't concentrate on what you're doing then, Well, I mean, I don't have to think about the band. I know things are going to go well. All I got to think about is how am I getting that next note?
Absolutely. How long did it take you fellows to put this album together from, I guess, the time you started in the studio till the time it was ready to go out?
I guess we started writing right around the holidays in 22. So beginning of 2023, we were writing and we recorded it last summer. So
that's pretty quick.
Yeah, it's it's like it's all or nothing. Once we start going, it's like every day you're shooting ideas back and forth. And what do you think about this? And then listen to how you think this sounds. And
So I mean, you've got the dubious distinction now of being a long-serving member of Accept. I believe 2009 is when you got in there.
15 years now.
So 15 years, if not as long, darn near close as long as the original. And you also had the dubious distinction of replacing somebody that was an original member of the band. But it just seems like the band just keeps going. It hasn't missed a step, and people still embrace Accept. What do you think that is? Because I mean, in this day and age of music, it's getting harder and harder for this genre of music to gain any attention or get any steam or keep the momentum. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Well, for one thing, record companies don't promote it.
Right.
Napalm, now that we're on Napalm, they're doing a hell of a job. I mean, I'm really impressed by their PR department and all the interviews we've been doing and all the press we're getting. But for the large part, especially like here in the United States, record companies aren't pushing heavy metal. They're pushing, hip hop and pop music and country music, and so you're only, if it's not being jammed down your throat, sometimes you don't even know about it.
Right.
Oh, that's the thing. But there are still people that live for metal, and it's not something you grow out of like some of the other genres are.
You're right.
Our old metalheads have been metalheads their entire lives.
Well, and I had a friend that Queens of the Stone Age plays in Halifax last night, and a friend of mine said there was no young kids, and the only kids that were young kids were there with their parents, and it was kind of like you get that, right? Like you have the diehards who their kids like music because their parents, not force it down their throat, but they were around it a lot, right? Is that what you're seeing in some of your shows? Like you're seeing the
You will
parents with their
literally
kids?
see, especially in Europe, some of the European shows in Germany and some of the Euro bloc countries, literally the grandparents, the parents, and the children, it's all in the front. It's like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, the whole damn family comes out. It's insane.
It's pretty cool though, because that is your audience, and the fact that they're still caring, I think, because the metal genre is still, I'd say it's alive and well. I mean, it's
Yeah.
obviously maybe a little more niche than it was, and you got to work a little bit harder, but it's still there. And to hear you say that, I think is very interesting because people are still interested in hearing this form of music.
Yeah. And it's not, it's a lifestyle. It's not just music, it's everything, like that's what I'm saying. It's not something that's a fad or something that you're going to grow out of, like some things are. They're just fads and they're gone in 10 years. If that. This is I'm pretty metal's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
Amen, brother. I will say, so Freeman Promotion sent me the EPK with the album, with the artwork. I was super impressed because, you're not getting that level of, artwork. You're not getting that level of in-depth bios. You just don't see it anymore, right? And people, if they can't stream it, they don't care. You guys put an awful lot of work into that promo and that, the artwork of the album. Who was involved in that? Were you guys getting or giving feedback? Were you guys coming up with it yourself? Because it's super impressive.
Yeah, well, we've always, we prefer to do things properly, I mean, we said that when I first joined the band, that we weren't going to, rest on past glory and, just go out and play the classics. And, and some bands do that. Then more power to them if they can get away with it. But I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to, at that point, you are a cover band, that's why we decided to make good records and continue to make good records and make them proper records like it used to be, and do one every couple of years. You make a record, you write music, you make a record, you tour. That's how it always was. And as far as the artwork and all of that, like I said, that a lot of that is Wolf. He's really into the detail, and he's got the bull by the horns, and it shows, as you said, the artwork and everything else, the liner notes, the stories, the pictures. It's all good stuff. I don't know if did you see the box set that came out, the Decade of Defiance? Look at the stuff in there. It's just incredible.
Well, and it's funny because it's a level up, right? Like, I mean, when I get asked to do interviews with people, I'll get the EPK or whatever, and I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, it's neat. I don't go, wow, but I open up this and it was just like, this reminds me of being like, back in junior high or high school when a Maiden album came out or something, where it was like, man, these guys actually care about what they're putting out there, where you feel like if you're going to ask people to spend money, they're getting value for what their money is being spent on.
Exactly. And plus, and it gives them an incentive to actually buy the record and not just stream it,
I agree. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about your genre of music and the whole streaming thing. I mean, streaming isn't great for anybody, but do you guys look at it as just another way to get your albums out there? And it's kind of like, if it happens, it happens. I mean, your numbers are great. I follow streaming stuff all the time, but what's your views on that? Because I mean, obviously you guys are a touring band, you go out there and you sell merch, but is streaming just something that you got to do it and we do it?
Well, you have to do it. I mean, it's way better for the consumer than it is for us, I think.
Right.
It does give you more visibility, I guess, than you would have, but it's not selling records. It's not making us money. So somebody's getting rich somewhere. It's not us.
No, and I would never ask you numbers or whatever, but I mean, it's safe to say that you guys the lion's share of your income when you're out there is touring and merchant and that type of thing. It's not from those other sort of things that are set up.
Mm-hmm. I think that's safe to say.
April 25th, this album is coming out. It's being unleashed to the world, and I've had a couple of friends. I said I got the new Accept album, but I can't let you hear it because I'm doing an interview with Mark, and I promised John that I wouldn't put it out. But it's coming out, and then what are the plans? Obviously, beside the push of it coming out, you guys are going to go out on the road and start showing this thing to the world.
Yeah, we start on May 1st in South America, so we'll be down there for the month. European festivals all summer. Headline tour in Europe in the fall. There's a possibility of a U.S. run in between there after the summer festivals. So that's in the works now. We'll see how that plays out. U.S. and Canada. So
I'd ask you to come to Halifax, but Halifax is such a hurt. I mean, we're kind of at the end of the earth, and it's basically in order to play Halifax, you got to take a day off to get there. And my guitar player
in France.
Halifax, Nova Scotia, the town that I live in. No. Well, it's almost Hellfest some days, but that's for another day. But how, in terms of touring, when Accept tours, because things are so different. I talk to different people. Some bands do fly-out dates. Some bands will get on a bus for 2 or 3 weeks. Some bands will do a combination. Are you a combination of that? And the part two is you go to South America, you go to Europe. Obviously, that's going to be different than, say, the U.S.
Oh, yeah. Well, South America is all fly dates. You got show, fly day, show, fly day. It's because there's no other way to travel down there.
Right.
Everything's so damn far away from each other. You'd have to take 3 days off to take a bus to get there. And there are no buses down there. So, and we go, you're back and forth between Central America, Mexico, and South America a couple of times anyway. It's just, you have to fly. There's no two ways about it. On a regular European tour, if we're headlining, or in a headline or American tour, we're on a bus as long as you can be, as long as time permits. If you have a show that's too far away to get there overnight, and it's the next day, then you have to fly, and the bus will meet you there. But it's a little bit of both always. So then you go to Japan, ride the bullet train.
Oh, well, yeah, and everybody, I've never been, but everybody that I talk to that's been over there just loves that thing. It's just one of those things where you see it and then you get on and it's like, yeah,
it's great. We're long overdue too. I'm hoping we get back there by beginning of next year.
So you're a busy guy. I appreciate you doing this in the middle of the day on a Friday. Hopefully you get something fun to do after this. But I got to ask you a geeky question because all my singer friends always like me to ask it. But are you an in-ear monitors guy or do you prefer monitors? Because I've talked to a number of different singers who can't stand the in-ears and some that can't stand the monitors. And which is your preference, especially with the type of vocalist that you are?
No ears.
No ears, total monitors.
Everybody else is on in-ears but me.
Because they need the click track, right?
Well, yeah, I guess, but they like them. I hate them.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want to be able to hear the crowd. I want to be able to do what I'm doing. I just feel like I'm on a leash doing that, it's like I don't like it. And it also I don't like the fact let's put it this way. I want to almost be able to hear what I'm doing because I want to work for it. If it's here and it's too loud, I'm laying back off the mic because I don't. It's terrible. I want to have to work for it. So,
well, and I went and looked at a few random live clips of you guys, and I mean, you're not cutting any corners. That's safe to say. You're going for it. I didn't see.
Why not?
I probably looked at. Well, and again, your type of singing can be unforgiving if you're not doing it properly. We've all known of singers whose voices just left. Pardon me?
It's demanding.
Well, yes, absolutely. All right, sir. Last question, and then I'll leave you to your day. Where on the 25th? What's the best place for my viewers to get this wonderful album, Humanoid?
You can go to the Napalm Records site. You could try our website, acceptworldwide.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at mark.tornillo.
And it is Tornillo. We got that straight at the very beginning before we went on. Sir, I want to thank you for this. It's been a pleasure to meet you, and best of luck this year, man. That's a great album you guys have coming out.
All right, Sean. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.